Hello guys, today we're gonna see about the topic named incurable as a part of the topic growing through gratitude from the book Life's Amazing Secrets by Gaur Gopal Das. So let's go for it. Let's have a small recap of what Harry had asked to the monk. I can think of things I should be grateful for, but that's not the case for everyone. I know people who have been through hell and back, whether it's losing loved ones or being disease stricken. How can they be grateful? This is the question asked by Harry to the monk. Let's see now what was the monk's answer. For some reason or another, the thought of my friends in Mumbai whose daughter had been diagnosed with terminal cancer came up. Yes, you are right, Harry. It's hard to be grateful in certain situations, and we must be careful while explaining this principle to others. When people are suffering, we should not insensitively tell them to be grateful. That would be uncompassionate. Gratitude has many layers to it. Let's understand them thoroughly. What is the worst disease you can think of? For most people, it would be cancer, but they would not associate it with the young. Professor Peter says cancer is primarily a disease of old age, with more than 60% of all cases diagnosed in people aged over 65. It's a disease of the old. However, this is not the experience of my friends whose 4.5 year old daughter, Gandharbika, was diagnosed with the fastest growing tumor in humans. Gandharbika's father, Mr. Mukund Shanbag, a close friend, narrated the story to me. I can feel a lump in her stomach, the doctor said to me, and it feels pretty large. The doctor paused and turned away to his computer screen, scribbling some notes. I don't want to worry you, he continued. Those 6 words are enough to worry someone. His face signaled to me that he thought it was serious and had been attended to right away. After a short car ride, we arrived at the hospital with the radiologist waiting there to meet us at the reception. Our doctor had made some calls. The radiologist looked familiar. He was a member of a spiritual community too. He took my daughter and me upstairs to his clinic, making small talk on the way. I was nervous, but Gandharvika was having the time of her life. This was an adventure for her. I tried to make conversation with the radiologist, but oddly enough, he was also nervous. Had our doctor told him something that we did not know? In his clinic, the radiologist performed sonography on Gandharvika. How can one be grateful knowing that this excruciating disease is going to affect someone that they love more than their own life? My wife, Pavitra, and I found it impossible at first. But the love we received from our community exemplified how much we had to be grateful for. Our whole family was suffering. Not only was Gandharvika going through hell, our other two children, Radhika and Rashika, aged 7 and 2 at that time, were not seeing their parents for extended periods of time. They were too young to understand what was going on. It was hard for my wife and I to be strong for them, knowing that the three of them could soon only be the two of them. I was at the hospital for almost 6 months continuously as Gandharvika went through the vicious circle of chemotherapy. Her blood count dropping, infection, and readmission. It was a constant loop of suffering, the toughest 6 months of my life. What kept me sane was my spiritual practice, but primarily the outpouring of love from our friends around us. One of our friends who took my kids to their home every weekend and treat them like her own so they would not miss their mother. Both my sisters would watch my kids during the week as we rushed between the work and the hospital. My father insisted that he would cook for us daily so that she would not miss home cooked meals. 3 months passed like this. This abnormal situation became our normal routine. In late September, an issue cropped up. Gandharvika's birthday was fast approaching, and she had understandably lost all her initial patience. She wanted to go home to celebrate. The problem was that she had contracted a burning fever after her last round of chemotherapy. There was no chance that she would be leaving the ward, the doctor warned us. It broke my daughter's heart. That is when we received more support. At lunchtime, as Gandharvika went through another round of tests, our friends and family, led by her class teacher, decorated the hospital room for her birthday as a surprise. They brought cake, party poppers, and all sorts of presents from my daughter's classmates. It was better than any birthday we could have planned. Gandharvika and our whole family were overwhelmed with joy. Cancer treatment in India can be very costly due to the intensive nature and long duration of the treatment. We were managing fine, but it was causing a strain on our family. Although we tried to refuse, one of our dearest friends offered to help pay for the treatment. We really want to serve your daughter in this way, they said. I was deeply touched. To serve your children is honorable. To want to give so much to serve another's children is downright heroic. We accepted their gift because of the love that it was accompanied with. During those trying times, our spiritual teacher Radhanath Swami met with us too, inquiring about our daughter's health. He held my hands and looked into my eyes. I am intensely praying for Gandharvika and I am intensely praying for all of you too, he said. Many people today belittle the power of prayers, but we had all the faith that the prayers and good wishes of those with deep rooted spirituality in our community gave us the strength to deal with this turbulent phase of our life. Gandharvika is an energetic child. She loves to make friends. In her ward, there were many other children with the same disease whom she would play with, and we would bond with the families going through the same crisis. As they say, there is strength in numbers. Nurses would comment that our daughter was different from other children. She would be praying, reading, and even doing meditation. They took so much hope from this and may even started practicing spirituality themselves. Kids who were playing with the same toys Gandharvika had were passing away right before our eyes. Innocent children being consumed by such a devastating disease. What if Gandharvika relapses? Was a recurrent thought for me. As I said earlier, these type of negative thoughts would pop up when I was alone. In the emptiness of the hospital, listening to the cold silence. How would we able to cope with we lost her? At times, like that, we would not thank those who wrapped us in love enough, helping us to heal our wounds. The gratitude that we felt for our entire spiritual community in Mumbai was a beacon that guided us and little Gandharvika through her disease. And though we thought that her disease was terminal, Gandharvika is still with us today, laughing and praying. Those who are grateful are not immune to distress. However, gratitude on many different levels offered us unlikely solace in a time of great difficulty. My car is fast, Harry said, as my consciousness returned to the conversation. But that was an emotional roller coaster. It seems like Gandharvika's father had a deep connection to the quality of gratitude. Indeed, I said. Indeed, I wiped my tears. We need to make time to practice gratitude if we want to be like him. Definitely, Harry said in a somber mood. I lead a very busy life. Even more reason to truly understand gratitude. If we don't, we can miss the most beautiful aspects of our existence, I emphasized. So, let's catch you in the next chapter. Thank you.